Hello friends, in today's episode we look at a cheap and easy to make potting mix for all your planting needs. You will need peat moss, some compost, you will need either perlite or vermiculite, and you will need manure or worm castings, and some containers to measure. Now what we're going to do is take 3 parts of the peat moss. What you're seeing here is called sphagnum peat moss, and it will form the base of our potting mix. And we're going to be taking 3 parts of this peat moss. Now the measuring container that I've used is a 2-gallon measuring container, and that should give you a little bit of idea on how much peat moss you need for this potting mix. I usually like to break down the pieces of the peat moss once it's in the garden cart, and that way the peat moss pieces are broken up and they're a lot easier to mix when the pieces are broken. Now peat moss is a little acidic, so if you're using this potting mix to plant tomatoes and eggplants or any other vegetables, add some garden lime to neutralize the effect. You can also use coco coir in place of peat moss, and they are available as these bricks which you can expand to whatever size you want. I have reviewed this in one of my previous videos, and it's a great substitute to peat moss. Coco coir is a renewable resource and it's available in plenty. And these cocoa bricks are good for small quantities. For larger quantities, you can buy bagged coco coir mixes. The next ingredient we're going to add to our potting mix is compost. We're going to be adding 1 part of compost using the same 2-gallon measuring container that we used, and you can either buy bagged compost or make your own. We're going to be now adding 1 small part of perlite. For the small container, I've used something like a coffee can sized container, and you can get these at Target. And to this we add 1 small part of manure or worm castings, and that should give enough nutrients for the plants to grow. Now as we are mixing up this potting mix, let me tell you that potting mixes are different from potting soils. This is a soilless potting mix, and it's a great quality potting mix that is much cheaper if you make your own. So I highly recommend that you try making your own potting mix, and you're going to be growing great plants. The planting medium is a very important part of growing. So you will see that by using a good potting mix, you're going to be growing some awesome plants like you see here. And this kind of a potting mix is very well draining. Once you water your plants, you will see that they will drain quickly and give the best growing medium for your plants. So this recipe of creating a potting mix is very cheap, one of the cheapest that you can find, and it gives you great results. So there we have it folks, that was our episode on creating a cheap and easy DIY potting mix. If you have your own recipe to share, do put them in the comments below, and we'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.